Welcome back to the P7 podcast. I'm your host, Josh, joined by co-host Jake. How are you, mate?
Not too bad. How are you?
Very good. Episode 6 this week, and a big week at that.
An exciting one.
Very exciting, very exciting. Just to, before we jump into obviously the big news of the US Open, I'm going to do a quick recap of the other tours this week. So first off, the European Tour. Garrick Higo. He's a South African 21-year-old, fellow lefty brethren. Shot 19 under over four rounds to win by one.
Wow.
Pretty impressive. So went bogey free for the last 36 holes. Shot 7 under in the final round. And for the week, I think he had one bogey and one double on the card, and that was it.
That's incredible for a 21-year-old.
Yeah, to do that on the European
to show that
Tour.
kind of, yeah.
Like obviously a lot of the names are at the US Open, but to start off like that, come out and win your first European Tour event at age 21 is pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, for sure.
LPGA Tour this week had the Cambia Portland Classic, Maxi. It was a playoff. So between Georgia Hall, pretty well known, and Ashley Buhai. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly or not. But Georgia Hall won in a playoff. They both shot 12 under for the week. Georgia went 70, 66, 68. Ashley went 71, 68, 65 to both finish 12 under. So a good win, and Georgia Hall bouncing back.
Good playoffs, always what we want to see. We always talk about match play and what, what potential there is with match play. So playoffs always fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it just goes to show, and that creates that entertainment value, what we've spoken about previously. And I think, these playoffs and the FedEx Cup playoffs, I'm not going to hamp on it now because we've been over that. But, I think they need to go down that route a bit more. PGA Tour, Maxi. US Open. I have had an absolute stinker with my pick to miss the cut.
You have.
He ends up winning it by 6. Big Bryson Shambo.
That's embarrassing.
The only player to finish under par for the week and just monstered the course. Your first reactions to it, mate?
Look, I picked DJ. I think he was tied 5th.
Yeah, DJ wasn't on at all, and then he looked up on the leaderboard after the last round.
Slowly, just So I picked DJ because I knew he could hit out of the rough.
That swing speed.
I said last week he can hit out of the rough. He can, and he's got the momentum.
Yeah.
So that was to see Bryson, and some of those videos of him hitting out the rough, it's just so much value on being able to muscle it out of the rough in a place where you're not going to hit the fairway every time. In fact, I think we're talking about what Jeff Ogilvy said in Lynch's video.
Yes,
Ryan Lynch. Yeah. So he was saying that, and he was speaking in the year he won at 2006, and saying that it almost doesn't matter how many fairways you hit because everybody's going to miss them. They're that narrow.
Yeah.
So, I think, and he really stressed the point of when you miss a fairway, being able to hack it out and get up and down. But then moving on from that, you're seeing Bryson hitting greens, holding greens from the thick rough. So I think that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I want to get into that a little bit later on too, because I think course setup could have had a pretty defining factor in regards to that. Because I'll get into it a little bit later on, but I just think it could have held him off a little bit more if the USGA and, pulled the pin on those greens pretty quickly. But the bloke I really want to talk about is Matt Wolff.
Yeah.
So is he 20, 21, 22? about that.
Something like that. Yep.
To shoot 5 under in round 3 when everyone was struggling. JT just had a mare. No one, I think they were interviewing Xander after round 3, and they did not see a 5 under out there. But damn, he was impressive, and I really, really thought after that round that he was going to hold everyone off and win it.
He looked pretty unbeatable at that stage.
Yeah.
I mean, what can you say about 5 under out there? I don't think you really need to say anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it's just incredible. Spewing, he couldn't get it done, and he couldn't, stick with Bryce, and just made a few little bogeys and a few little mistakes at wrong times, and just couldn't get close enough to put a bit of pressure on him.
Yeah, it was a shame. I think everyone wanted to see it.
Yeah, definitely.
But so it happens. He'll learn from it, and I'm sure he'll be there again next year. Really,
fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, because
another
he's
one of
bloody
those
good
players.
to watch.
Yeah, and another one of those players who smokes it.
Yeah,
and can muscle it out of the rough. He's not quite as big as Bryson Koepka, DJ, whoever, but I think he's got that sort of potential as well.
Yeah, I think so. That as you said, that power he creates and the swing speed holds him in pretty good stead. I mean, if he can drive the ball like he did for the first few rounds, I think he'll definitely, along with Morikawa and Hovland, etc. Those 3 are going to be pretty bloody good to watch over the next few years.
Yeah, definitely.
So going back to Bryson, I just want to put a few numbers in front of you in regards to his strokes gained. So first of all, Bryson hit the fewest fairways by a US Open champion since stats have been recorded in 1981. He hit 23 for the week.
Wow. And I guess that's exactly what Jeff was saying, and what we've been talking about is that's on this course, that's not the stat.
Yeah, it's just
honestly doesn't mean anything.
And for myself, incredible. And I looked at it before coming into this week because I thought it'd just be a premium. I didn't think he'd be able to overpower the course like he did, but he hit 23 fairways for the week for 64 greens in reg.
Yeah.
So
to be able to hit that amount of greens from that rough and to hold those greens, remember, being how hard and fast they were, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah. So going through the numbers, so Bryson, final round alone, gained 7.9 shots on the field. Over the week, he gained 5.328 off the tee, 7.551 on the approach to the green. But this is where it's really, really impressive. I know the number's not as high as that, but he's not renowned for it. But around the green and on the green itself, he gained 4.973 shots around the green and 4.492 strokes gained with the putter.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's talked about his short game this year.
Yeah,
at all. But yeah,
his putting, his putting's phenomenal.
Putting was unreal.
Yeah, like he just inside anywhere, and he was just draining him. Like it was crazy good. So yeah, I think that puts it into perspective a bit. Yes, he's the distance was there, and he was spraying it a little bit, and this and that. But to gain that many strokes around the green and on the green is always going to hold you in pretty good stead.
Yeah.
On a lighter note, did you see the footage of a certain Danny Lee having 6 putts from 7 foot?
That was hard to watch.
Yeah.
I almost went into my golf bag and snapped my own putter.
Oh, mate, I felt and yeah, I'm not going to harp on it because there's a lot of blokes that have felt the same sort of anger and issues, but yeah. That's
testing.
It gets you going, doesn't it? The blood starts to boil.
Yeah.
And it is poor Danny, but yeah.
Interesting car home run.
Yeah,
Interesting
yeah.
ride home in the car. Yeah.
Not wrong at all. So it sort of leads me into my next point of course
Hmm.
setup. I want to get your point as well. But I thought, excuse me, that final day was
Hmm.
perfect. That was set up absolutely perfect. The greens had
Yeah.
dried out. They were a lot firmer. They'd obviously had the sub-air system on a lot more, and dried them right out. And that's how it should play. And I was so disappointed that it didn't play like that in rounds 1, 2, and 3, because they could have made it absolutely brutal. And
Yeah.
it probably changes Bryson's approach a little bit too in terms of rounds 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
If the
For
greens
sure.
are that much firmer, and you're bouncing through greens and over the back around wing foot is pretty dead. So yeah, what are your thoughts?
I think, yeah. Um, as far as Bryson goes, I think I think it would have put a premium, well, not a premium, but I think it would have made fairways hit more important, because
Yeah,
obviously you're not going to hold a hard green from rough like that. You're not getting any spin. Um, so unless you're catching the right slopes and whatnot, it's, yeah. I think it puts a lot more on the lie on your second shot. Um, as far as getting them, yeah, I mean, like we said, you always want to see a hard course.
mm.
Um, I'm not sure if they're still. I don't know. Well, yeah, everyone remembers Shinnecock. That
Yeah.
everyone was, you know, saying it's ridiculous, it's stupid. But yeah, it was pretty ridiculous. But that's
I
kind of
love
what we
to
want to
watch
see.
that. I love to
Yeah,
watch that shit though. Like that's
I want to
what I,
see Phil cracking it.
yeah, but that's it. That's a US Open.
Yeah, that's it. It
And
wouldn't be a US Open without something like that.
no, and it's what you come to expect.
And someone missing the cut.
Yeah, exactly. And I was gonna say, is it time? Is it time for Phil to go full time on the Champions Tour? Can we ask that question yet, Maxi?
You're not far off, and I tell you what,
If
he
he make
said he said he'll keep playing as long as he's hitting bombs, but he's hitting them sideways. So
Yeah, go and hit your sideways bombs on the Champions Tour, where you make a lot more money each and every week because you're guaranteed a
yeah,
win pretty much.
exactly. I hmm. How old is he?
uh, oh, too
Would he
old.
be 50?
He would be, yeah. He'd be close to it if
Has to be.
not. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think it's almost time. But if Phil can play on the PGA Tour still, I think he will.
yeah. I think he's 50 actually on
Yeah,
the dot. There you go. Yeah, I think um, he's a great player.
yeah,
Um, I wish that he was, a bit more competitive so I could see his short game. But
yeah, yeah. And that's always the thing that's held him in great stead. Is his short game was just
yeah,
elite,
yeah,
and so much better than everyone else. But I think everyone else is starting to really catch him, um,
mm,
which
absolutely.
is sort of cost him in a way, in terms of
And
longevity.
I think there's other ways to score as well. I mean, like we're saying, there's a lot of this power game coming in,
Yeah,
and I think it's, yeah, just hit more greens.
yeah, for
And
sure.
I mean, you see some of the situations that Phil gets himself in, and his short game has to be that good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Otherwise, he's not getting where he got in his career. So
Agreed.
yeah,
Well, might be time for the old man to switch it across. I reckon.
I still want to see him at Augusta,
Yeah. Well,
but
yeah. So leading into that a little bit,
mhm,
next major is obviously the Masters from
yeah,
prior season. Who wins it?
I,
Does Bryson, does he crack the code? Because like if you watch his press conference after his win, he's already looking forward and how he can change
yeah,
the game
he's
even more
so
so.
focused,
He is going to test a 48-inch driver with Cobra. And I don't know about
You
you,
are
but
talking to a bloke who uses a shorter driver.
yeah, Yeah, apparently.
So that seems absolutely stupid to me. But that's his strategy. That's his
Yeah,
whole
correct.
outlook on golf.
And
Is
he
smoke it.
thinks, yeah, if he can hit it 360 down there, which is there's very high potential for it to happen if he's using a
Yeah,
48-inch driver, even lower lofted than what he already has. I think his gamer at the moment is about 5.5 degrees or 6 degrees
yeah,
in
yeah.
loft. So it's ridiculous already. So if he could absolutely rip this place apart. Um,
Mm.
which, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure
It'll
how I
be
feel.
yeah. Augusta is wide,
Yeah,
but but and I guess this is a difference with winged foot and a lot of the courses that you and I play is when you miss the fairway, it's almost dead.
yeah,
Water hazards, bunkers, lost ball. Whereas winged foot is kind of just muscle it out. So I think that's a very different course for us anyway.
yeah,
In Australia, you go off the fairway and there's a bit of rough and then you're on hard pan. so
absolutely.
um so yeah, but then leading into Augusta, that's almost more that way. When you hit the fairway, you're in the trees, and that's a completely different story to
Yeah,
winged foot. But
yeah.
fairways are wider, so
It's just, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how far he takes it. And
yeah,
it sort of also leads me into my next point is what do the USGA do? And I think they've got to do something now in terms of this because it's hit,
distance.
yeah, it's hit a point where you've narrowed the fairways at Wingfoot and a US Open where no one within the golf community has sort of agreed with how Bryson's approaching the week as a whole
Yeah,
and his game plan, and he goes out and wins by 6 and is the only bloke under par for
he's
the week.
broken. He's broken everyone's ideas basically. Everyone, the traditional ideas. He's just broken it,
Yeah, exactly right,
and
and
he will continue to.
correct, and that's the thing. It's probably time. Like, I got a quote here from Rory McIlroy's press conference from afterwards. He goes, "I don't really know what to say because that's just the complete opposite of what you think a US Open champion does. Look, he's
Mm.
found a way to do it. Whether that's good or bad for the game, I don't know. But it's not the way I saw this golf course being played or this tournament being played. It's kind of hard to really wrap my head around it. I think it's brilliant, but I think he's taken advantage of where the game is at the minute. Whether that's good or bad, but it's just the way it is. With the way he approaches it, with the arm lock putting, with everything, it's just where the game's at right now. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. He's just taking advantage of what we have right now."
That's yeah. That pretty much says it all. I think and quickly touch on the putting. It's probably not as big a deal. The arm lock's an interesting one because we can't anchor now. But
Mm.
can you anchor on your arm? Because your arm's still moving. But I don't know.
Yeah,
It,
see, I'm pretty stern on this. I'm pretty massive on this. So if you're going to take it away and you can't anchor and you're forcing blokes like Adam Scott to completely change their putting style, then why are you allowing this? Why, like, why?
mm, I see. Yeah, I agree with you. But I I I don't really care about anchoring, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I can't do it. I've
Oh,
tried with
trust me,
belly putters and stuff. I can't do
I,
it.
I'm okay with.
I just want to see you go.
I'm okay with it if they allow everything to be done. And
Yeah,
for the
that's
blokes
what
like
I
Scotty
think too.
that have already been made to change their putting stroke completely
It's
and use
so
a
harsh.
completely different putter is pretty ridiculous when this is going on.
Yeah, and the difference between that and the long game is technology in a putter and a ball. It, yeah, it helps, but at that level, they're not missing the center of the putter
Yeah,
ever. Basically, their
correct.
their strokes are so dialed
Yeah,
that no amount of technology is going to make them hole more putts. It might
yeah,
help them roll the ball better, but really, I don't think they're going to hole any more putts, and that's what people want to see.
absolutely it
So
is.
let the guy hold the putter however he wants. If he's holding it,
Let him
you
go.
know,
Yeah,
let him.
ex-
That's yeah, because I
I,
don't think there's a massive advantage of anchoring it.
I agree,
really.
and I think it's barking down the wrong tree when something so
Mm,
obvious is
it's
out there
happening,
at the
right?
in front of your eyes, and
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
yeah. So I pose the question to you: where do they go next? Where do they go to, pull this distance back? Do they go to the ball? Do they go to the driver heads again? Um,
Yeah,
what do you
I
think? Obviously, there's a lot of athleticism involved, and you look at the weight and the way Bryson moves, and he's still so free, even at 110 kilos or 235, 240 pounds, whatever he
yeah,
is.
whatever it is.
And you look at the guys like
Yeah,
Kepka and DJ, they're so athletic that they are creating a lot more power and stuff just purely from a physique point of view. But how do you dial back that to give these other blokes a chance
yeah.
in terms of driver heads and shafts or whatever, or balls, whatever it
It's
is? What do you think?
yeah. Look, I think the biggest change. Everyone goes, "Oh, the ball, the club." It's changed a bit.
Mm,
Obviously, the wood's not wood anymore.
yeah,
It's a big difference. If anyone, I mean, I've hit them a few times. I'm not sure if you've hit the wooden.
yeah, the old
Um,
persimmons. Yeah,
yep, those ones. They're they're pretty hard to hit, and they
they
don't
are.
go as far.
Nah,
But I think the golfer has changed more
yeah,
than
me
the
too.
equipment. Especially in the modern era.
Mm,
Past from the start of say medals. I think the golf has changed a lot more, and we saw it start with VJ and Tiger.
yeah.
They're probably and Norman. That get those bigger guys on tour, and obviously Tiger's not that tall,
Mm,
but Norman's very tall,
yeah.
massive guy.
Just the
Um,
athleticism more of it and more of it, like
yeah,
create.
and it's they're athletes now.
Yeah, they're athletes. They're purely
You know,
athletes. They're not your John Daly's. Like you have a couple of exceptions of guys out there still, but yeah, like I completely get your point of view. In terms of my
yeah,
point of view, I don't think it's a driver issue. I think it is if they're going to wind back anything, I think it needs to be the ball. Um,
yep,
and I think there needs to be some new, conforming issues where the ball is wound back, or held
mm.
at, even held it at its current point.
I think
Um,
I
but
think that the trouble is
yeah,
that it's hard to go back. It's easier to stop things from going forward.
yeah,
And the other thing that goes along with that is I don't want to to have a ball that's just being used on tour, on the PGA tour, because then when I go hit a drive and I go, oh, I smoked it, I hit it this far,
yeah,
Tiger hits it this far, but I can't compare it anymore because they're using a
a
different ball. You know
completely
what I mean?
different ball. Yeah,
There's not many sports, and I saw this somewhere, I can't remember. So if you know who it is, you know
yeah,
who it is. But someone said it's there's not many sports where you can directly compare yourself to the pros. Like
yeah.
without any, there's nothing
Issues.
different
Yeah,
between you hitting a 7-iron off a fairway and someone else. It's completely the same.
yeah,
It might have been
um,
James Robinson, but
yeah. So yeah, essentially with the balls at the moment, I know Titleist do it, but if you go out and buy Pro V or Pro V1X, essentially what you're doing is you're using the exact same ball that Tour Pros use.
yeah,
However, the only change in it is that with a Tour Pros ball, they are quality controlled twice instead of just once.
yeah,
That's the only difference. Okay, I know there's a few companies here and there that have a different ball for their tool players at the moment that not many people know about.
yeah. And it's the
How
same with other equipment, really. So,
it is, yeah.
but
But yeah, it's like that. Those triple diamond driver heads, for example.
yeah,
However, I think, I think the ball sort of needs to be definitely, um, you
it
know,
can't get further.
nah, it's got to
I
stop
think.
now before it
Mm,
gets too much. Because yeah, it's sort of teetering on that fine line at the moment.
it
Um,
is.
it's very close. Like I'm not, going to extremes just yet because obviously you look other than Bryson, for no one to finish under par at a PGA Tour, major event is pretty good
Yeah,
in terms of how the course
that's
how they
what you
wanted,
want to see.
how they
Really,
wanted to set
it's
up the
just
course.
yeah,
Um,
it's just funny to see one person overpower.
Yeah,
course,
yeah,
and
correct.
nobody else do it.
And
It
because
would have been interesting to see Kepka.
correct, yeah, and that's huge. And I hope he's okay for the Masters. I really do, because it'll create that talking point.
Sure.
But he could, for all we know, at the moment, once he gets the injury right and that, he could be doing the exact same thing that Bryson's doing.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
And yeah, there is absolutely every chance of that. So it'd be interesting to see what they come out with, and whether or not these guys just below him, like your JTs, etc., go out now and put an emphasis on gaining that weight, gaining that swing speed, and seeing what it can do for their game. Jordan Spieth, perfect example. Here you go. So has been horrendous for 2-3 years now. Does he go away and do something extremely dramatic, bulk up, hit the gym, and gain a lot of swing speed and try and overpower a course instead of trying to finesse the driver around, which he can't do to save himself at the moment? Does
No,
he make that dramatic change?
It's an interesting one. We know that he has wrist issues.
Yeah.
He can't supinate, I think, his left wrist. So basically, he has a really weak grip.
Yeah.
And then he has a chicken wing.
Yeah.
So that he doesn't have to flip it.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it'd be interesting to see if he went away and bulked up, if he could push through that, or or how that would work. So that's always the way I've seen that his swing is a little different, just because of his body.
Yeah.
And it's whether that's holding him back now because it just seems that the easiest way to score well is just to hit it a long way.
Yeah, sure.
And it's just as simple as that, I think.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we saw this week anyway.
I think he definitely needs something dramatic or a dramatic change, personally, to sort of, try and get back in the top 10, top 20. Because we all know he's got the game and he's short game. His putting's still really, really good.
He's incredible.
Yeah, I was looking at stats today or yesterday, and for last season's PGA Tour, he was still in the top 10 for putting. For putts per round.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, it just goes to show how one part of your game has to be so dialed in, and if it's not, it can really cost you, like it has with Jordan.
Yeah, it's important, and it's different now.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
It's just so different. Yeah,
no dramas. So Torrey Pines next year. It's going to be sort of similar to Wingfoot, just a few more trees. Fairways are nice and narrow. I think, it's not my favourite track in the world. However, it'd be interesting to see if they make any dramatic changes in regards to the course setup.
Yeah, it's whether those trees, because you look at Wingfoot and you got to spray it a long way offline to have the trees in play on most holes, other than sort of 18, where you got them on the corner.
Yeah, the rough's a predominant hazard.
Yeah, so it's what happens. I mean, you think of Bryson's game. What happens if you bring that tree line in 5 meters on each side? What happens if you bring in 10 meters? Because then you've got I think a much higher premium at hitting fairways. Because if you're in that deep rough and then you've got to shape a shot, that's just almost going to be impossible.
Yeah, agreed.
There'll be a lot of zigzagging.
No doubt.
Which is what we want to see.
Absolutely.
But is that the way to stop the overpowering players? Is that a way to reel them back in?
Yeah, it's the magic question, isn't it? So just to wrap up our US Open for the week, well done to our weekly or our US Open giveaway winner, Ryan Peter Butch, who guessed Bryson to win at -8. Bryson won with a score of -6. So Budgie has won himself a shout out. Shout out to Budgie.
Well done, Budgie.
And the sleeve of Pro V1s. So we'll get them to you, no doubt, in the near distant future.
I was going to add one more thing on a lighter note. What do we
Yeah.
think on Paddy?
On
On
Paddy.
those videos that came out today, Patrick Reed.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So
Improving?
for those
Or
who
is it
don't know,
nitpicking?
obviously Patrick Reed has a notoriously bad habit of improving his life. There was a video that came out that sort of, I mean, it's a lot of clickbait through this one,
Yeah.
but they sort of zoomed in on Patrick's wedge just in the rough, on the fringe, between the fringe and the rough, on, was it 18th green? I don't
I'm
know,
not sure what hole it
somewhere.
was.
But yeah, it looked like he was sort of pressing down the rough a little bit. For me, and yeah, I'm not going to nitpick it because it wasn't a clear improvement of the lie for me personally, like he has done in the past with the sand, etc. So I think he probably deserves the benefit of the doubt on this one, even with his prior discretions. But yeah, it's an
Yeah.
interesting video to watch. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. To me, I was looking at how much the ball was sitting up in front of his clubs. Obviously, there's a bit of cushion under it, and to me, it just literally just looked like he grounded his club.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know when you put your club down next to the ball, the club sinks down a lot more.
Yeah, correct.
So,
Yeah.
I honestly just think he was grounding his club, and
Yeah.
someone's just gotten the right angle and gone, oh yeah,
Yeah.
he grounded
Agreed.
his club, picked it up, grounded it again, or whatever he did. So
But
he didn't.
he's got to be very wary of that right now because
Oh
everyone is watching him. Everyone's watching every
yeah,
shot just for that. And like even something like that so minute, that probably happens, 20 times throughout a PGA Tour event to different players.
yeah.
They're gonna pick up on him because
They
of his
won't pick up
prior
on anyone
discretions.
else.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. That's all they want is to get him. So hopefully he pulls his head in and sort of
yeah.
stops the
I
rubbish.
think if he had have pulled the club back on that low, along the ground, I think he would
Yeah.
have been in trouble.
Yeah, me
But
too.
I think he just grounded it. I
Yeah,
don't think there's any more in it.
completely agree. Couple of lighter notes to wrap up with. Uh, there was a new driver head on the USGA conforming list this week, Maxi.
Lovely.
Thoughts?
I actually couldn't find pictures when
Yeah,
I tried
okay.
to look
So
for it.
for those who don't know, the Titleist obviously have just chucked on tour their TSI range, TSI2, TSI3. So TSI 4 appeared on the USGA's conforming list this week. Going to be pretty similar by the sounds of it to TS4. So it's going to be their lowest spinning head for that real high spin player. So if you don't know, Adam Scott put it in play last year with TS4. He's now moved into TSI3. I think Max Homer had it in play for a little bit as well. But yeah, essentially it's going to be a really minute market, but for that
Yeah,
really high spin player, this really low spin head. So it's a 430 cc head as well, or
it
it
does
was in
look
a
quite small.
TS4. Yeah, it was in
They
a
do look.
TS4. So yeah, that's sort of that real classic look. Yeah, looks good to me though, mate.
Looks awesome, but
Yeah,
yeah, probably not for
yeah,
pretty
not
much anyone.
98.5% of golfers
At
out there.
least, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's another
But
thing I did
good
notice
option.
too is with the new TSI range, they're going to be half a degree stronger in terms of their driver heads. So
Oh, okay.
the range in the TS was 8.5, 9.5, 10.5, 11.5, etc. This is going to be 8, 9, 10, 11, maybe 12.
Okay, so they're taking the halves out.
Yeah, which makes sense to me.
Fair enough. That sure fit hosel is 0.75 either way,
Yeah,
and a degree and a half. So honestly, if you're getting a fit, I think it's just it's just easier.
yeah, exactly. No, I like it. So schedule this week, PGA Tour go to the Correa's Punta Cana Resort and Club Championship. Not many names playing. I think, the next one that we'll probably see a few names at is the Zozo Championship at Sherwood now,
Yep,
which is in a
sure.
few weeks' time, just sort of leading into the Masters in mid-November. So yeah, I dare say a few of those sort of top names will take a few weeks off just to refresh a little bit before then and dial in the games. Euro Tour this week. A couple of names playing this week actually, because it's the Irish Open at Gulgorm Castle Golf Club. So I had a look through the entry field, and so far Shane Lowry's playing.
It's always good to watch.
Yeah. Aussie boy Lucas Herbert is also playing after the US Open this week. So interesting couple of guys to watch. See if Lowry can get a win under his belt.
We know he's good on the links courses, so
yeah.
windy conditions, etc. So
yeah, be interesting to see. I've never seen Gulgorm Castle, so yeah, no doubt it's a mint track in Ireland, just like the rest of them.
yeah,
Corn Ferry Tour have the Wichita Open this week, so interesting to see. Just reiterating back on the US Open, or returning back to the US Open, Will Zalatoris is the leading the Corn Ferry Tour. And just a mile ahead. And I think he finished in the top 10 this week on the US, in the US Open, which is, credit where credit's due. That's awesome.
Yeah. That's a great effort. He's
Pretty,
more than ready.
yeah, pretty bloody talented and going to be one to watch for the future. That about wraps us up this week, Maxi. We'll either be back next week or the week after, just depending on some news and some equipment news, and if anything happens major in these tour events.
A little bit of a quiet time coming up, I think.
Exactly. So we might wind it down a little bit. We've got a little bit in the works in terms of interviews, so keep on the lookout for them, guys. Sort of trying to expose a few more of the sort of Australians and, your PGA professionals, etc., around the traps in our local area. So, we need to get around them and, promote the game of golf. So I think it's going to be a good way of doing that.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. That wraps us up. Thanks, guys. Take care.
See you later.
Cheers.